Hey, it's Al Angelo from A Plus Racing, bringing you another video on how to get you up on the front row. Okay, I've been asked 100 times, how do you do the differential? How do I put a Torsen in my car? You know, all these differential questions. I see you got a whole bunch of differentials in the background. Are you going to do a differential video? I'm reluctant to do it because I'm not going to do it the way that it should be done, all right? But you're beating me up about it, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the video. And I like to call this what I like to call the wrong way, okay? Because anybody who knows how to build differentials, or they built differentials for a living, they're just going to go backflip over this video like, you can't do that, oh my gosh. I built differentials for Ford for 20 years. That's what I did for a living. I was a powertrain specialist, and I built thousands and thousands of differentials. I know the right way. But when it comes to these Spec Miatas, they're all my cars. I'm renting them out, and I don't care if the differential whines or makes any weird sounds or anything like that, so long as it provides the traction, the gear ratio, and dependability of what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's kind of what my main focus is when I'm doing these differentials in the Spec Miata. So if you're going to try to do this on a street car where you have the full interior and all that, it could whine. You could whine on tip-in, it could whine on decel, you know, it could make some noises. In a Spec Miata, it's so loud in the car, nobody ever complains like, wow, yeah, I think you got a little bit of whine on tip-in at 70 miles an hour. I don't get that. You can't hear anything in a Miata at 70 miles an hour going down the racetrack, okay? So I don't mind showing this to you, but I got to give you the disclaimer that it's not my fault if your differential whines because you did this, all right? I'm just showing you what I do, even though I know in my heart that it's not the right way of doing it, okay? So if you're in agreement with that and I'm agreeing with that, then I'll show you what I do, okay? So, but no hate mail, please, okay? All right, so we're going to go out in the shop, and then I have to educate you on what we're looking for in a differential, okay? All right, let's come on out here. Okay, so I have some 1.8 diffs here, and I have something I use in a 1.6, okay? I really don't deal with 1.6s too much anymore, just for the fact that most people don't want to rent out the 1.6s. I do have 3 or 4 1.6s that I still rent out, but I don't really do much with those anymore. Mostly everything I build now is an MB, usually an MB1. All right, so to educate you on what the cars came with, you could get a limited slip differential, an LSD, out of a 1.6, 1990 to 1993. It could have came with an LSD, all right? It would have came with a visket, all right? A visket LSD, which they're not very good. They don't work very well. They don't provide a lot of traction in a turn. They provide more than an open diff, okay? So the way that you would tell if you have a visket just by looking on the outside is that if you look at the stub axle that actually snaps into the side, they usually have these little round hoops on the outside of it, but on a visket, it has a pointed one like a triangle. It'll have one of those on there. So if you look at the stub shaft and it's got a little pointy triangle on it, it's a visket, okay? So the open diffs didn't have that little point. They just have these little round like collars that go all the way around. All right, so you have an LSD. We race 20, 25 minutes at a time. The LSD only lasts a couple of laps. So a lot of times autocrossers like to buy them because they only do 1 lap. So, but I just don't deal with those much, okay? Now what you could do is you could get something like this. And this is called a Mazda comp, all right? And this is the carrier. Sometimes it's called the spool, all right? So you could get a racing carrier. This used to be sold by Mazda. And so this actually, and if you look real close right here, get in here real tight, Mike, you could see that it has a clutch pack system right here, okay? And so those clutches help the axles get locked together when you're going around a turn, okay? So it's a limited. So this is a racing spool. I have extras of these. Am I willing to sell them? Maybe, because I don't deal with these much. They're obsolete now. Mazda doesn't make these anymore, so they're pretty hard to come by. Everybody's looking for these. I probably have 5 or 6 of them. All right, so That's if you want to stay using the 1.6. So some people, and I know, there's a couple of companies that rent out race cars. They only rent out 1.6 cars. They love using these, okay? The problem with these that I have seen, and you got to understand, man, this is all in my opinion, okay, what I've seen in 20 years of doing this. So I'm not trying to make anything up here or trying to throw anybody under the bus. The problem I see with this is that it is not uncommon for it to break the pinion gear, to break a tooth off, all right? I see that happening with these frequently, all right? So if you use this, you could eventually end up breaking a tooth off of either the ring gear or the pinion gear. They just do that, all right? I've seen it, okay? So and then you end up robbing this spool out of one and you put it in another one, okay? And then hopefully it goes a while before it breaks. And they don't break right away. It might take a few years, okay, and then they break. All right, so that's a 1.6. Now, a 1.6 has a 6-inch ring gear, so it's a lot smaller ring gear than the 1.8. The 1.8 has a 7-inch ring gear. So the 1.8 differential is much heavy duty than the 1.6, okay? So we're going to set this one. So by the way, one trick to determining whether or not you have LSD also on these versions is by looking inside the hole, okay? Seeing what you see inside there. And I'm going to show you more about that in just a minute. Okay, so maybe we'll just call this video the Diff Identification before we start doing stuff. All right, so now this is a 1999 to like 2005 1.8 open diff. Okay, so this is not a limited slip differential. And one of the ways I can tell right off the bat is because if I look right here, I see the spider gears and I see the side gears, okay? Also, too, is if I look down the axle tube, I can see a crossbar in there, okay? So you should be able to see that crossbar in there. Anytime I see that crossbar in there, that tells me right off the bat that's an open diff, all right? Now, I'm going to tell you a secret here because you subscribed. You did subscribe. You haven't subscribed yet? I can't give you all this great information if you haven't subscribed to my channel. You got to subscribe to the channel. I'll wait. Hit the button over there in the corner. Okay, good. All right. Most of the time, the wrecking yards don't know how to identify a Torsen from an open diff. Okay? I'm still teaching my friends that own wrecking yards. Dude, you told me you didn't have any Torsens. We don't. We're clean out of them. You got 4 of them sitting right there on the pallet. What do you mean? I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's 4 of them right there. How can you tell? I show them, And so let me show you. I'll teach you. But a lot of wrecking yards don't know how to tell. They go off of the VIN number or something like that, and they get a pallet of them, and then they can't tell just by looking. So I'm going to show you. All right. So on a 1994 to 1997 came with a Type 1 Torsen, all right? So the Type 1 Torsen, it looks a lot like a Type 2 Torsen. This was sitting in a wrecking yard on a pallet, and they didn't know what it was, all right? They told me they didn't have any Torsens. And I said, I'll teach you how to tell if it's Torsen or not, but then you got to give me a smoking deal on that one right there. All right, teach me. All right, so here's what I told them. All right, if you look in the axle tube on this one, you see how you don't see the bar? Where on this one, you see the bar going across, okay? That tells me that this is a Type 1 Torsen, all right? So this is a Type 1 1994 to 1997 Torsen, okay? Now, being that it has this big kind of like dampener right here, that tells me it came out of a stick shift car. If it just had this flange right here, it would have came out of an automatic. So what did this come out of? You're right, this came out of a stick shift car, okay? So now we already determined that this is an open diff, all right? So what does a Type 2 look like? Well, I'll show it to you. I got one right here. So this is a Torsen spool right here. And as you can see, before I show you the inside, that this looks completely different than this one. Okay, this is a Torsen, this is an open diff. Now, I want you to look in here. You see how it looks like a washer with a pea-sized hole? Okay, this is a Type 2 out of a 99 and newer. Now, this one is no good because I don't know if you look on this side, I don't know if you kind of see it. It's got some gouges in here, and also the Torsen came apart, and every now and then there's a whole bunch of little pieces all floating around in there. And the reason why I found this was bad is that it kept popping the axle shaft out of the car, and then it would. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. This is the 1.6. I screwed it all up. That's a 1.6. This is the Type 2 Torsen. Sorry about that. Wrong information. That's that 1.6. Matter of fact, let's just throw that down here because we're done with that. I won't get confused with that. Okay, this is a Type 2 Torsen, okay? So I'm going to show you the inside, and you see how there's a washer with a pea-sized hole in there? That's a Type 2 compared to, compared to this one here, which is the Type 1, 94 to 97, 99, 2005. Okay. This one's bad because this is the one you can see there's a whole bunch of little pieces all falling in there. The thing came apart inside and it kept popping the axle out and we kept leaking fluid out. Finally, and I kept replacing the axles, the seals and all that. So I finally looked in there and saw that the Torsen had gone bad. Okay, so this one grenaded. You can see even better on this side. Okay, yeah, there's all kinds of trash in there. So this is a Type 2 Torsen. It's pretty much no good anymore. All right, so here's what I do. I find an open diff that is 430 gearing because we have to run 430 gearing, okay? The Type 1 Torsens came 94 to 97 in our area here in the United States, because I heard different in other countries, is that it comes with 410 gearing if it's a stick shift, all right? So 410 gearing doesn't work very well on the racetrack, on our tracks, and we're supposed to be using 430 gearing. So if I get an open diff out of a 99 and newer 5-speed car, I can get an open diff with 430 gearing, okay? So what that means is that the pinion gear will have 10 teeth and the ring gear will have 43 teeth. So you divide one to the other, 4.30, 430 gearing, okay? This one is probably going to have 410s. I don't know 100% right now, but I can pretty much guarantee it's probably 410s. All right, so here's what I'm going to do for you, because you asked for it. I'm going to show you how I take the Torsen spool out of here and I put it in here so that I have a differential with 430 gearing, okay, and it's a Torsen, all right? So this is my plan and this is what I'm going to do with this video, okay? So, but I'm going to show you the way I do it, and like I said, it's not the right way, all right, but it will work, okay? So I think I'm going to conclude that on identification, and then we're going to make another video on me swapping this stuff out, all right? Hey, subscribe to my channel, push like, don't leave yet, all right? And make sure that I see you at the racetrack. Have a great day.